with just a week to go until the NBA trade deadline, is Bojan Bogdanovic untouchable? We're going to talk about this in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Coop Cahill. You can find me over on Twitter at Coop Cahill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. So we haven't had a podcast for the last 2 days. My apologies, guys. I've been busy and just haven't. The last 2 days, man, it just wasn't going to work out. So just to let you guys know, we got an episode obviously coming today. You guys are probably going to be listening to this one on Friday. And then we're going to have another episode coming out on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to have one coming on Saturday to make up for the one we missed this week. So there's a lot of stuff that's happened between these last 2 days, and we're probably going to be bouncing around a lot on the podcast because I'm going to try to touch on all of it at least a little bit, give each topic a little bit of a talk. But before we get into Bojan, the Pistons had their game canceled. I'm sure a lot of us already know this, but they were stuck in Dallas just a few hours ago, I believe earlier in the day. I'm recording this on the 2nd. So earlier in the day of the 2nd, they were able to leave from Dallas and head back home. They've been stuck in Dallas for the past 5-6 days, had their game canceled, but this one tonight on Friday night, they will be home to play that one. But yes, they did have their game in Dallas canceled, or not the game in Dallas canceled, the game after Dallas canceled because they couldn't get out because of a winter storm down there. So no news yet on how that's going to be made up, if it's going to be made up. No news on that yet. So just want to touch base on that real quick. But now let's get into Bojan Bogdanovic. So the NBA trade deadline is February 9th. And obviously, Bojan Bogdanovic has been one of the most popular names, one of the most heated names involved in trade discussions. Obviously for the Pistons. Definitely number one for the Pistons, but even across the whole league, he's been talked about a lot. And we've went back and forth on the podcast. I think there's a disagreement in the Pistons fan base right now in the community. Those who want to trade Bojan Bogdanovic to those who want to keep him for next year. And we've heard a lot throughout the season. We've heard the Pistons refuse to give him up. Then we heard, the asking price is so insane, there's no way they'll give him up. Then it's, okay, well, he's gettable for a good price. Then we've heard all kinds of stuff. It's been all over the place. It's been a big just roller coaster with Bojan Bogdanovic. And just last week, Bojan Bogdanovic said himself that he had talked to Troy Weaver and ownership, and they assured him that they're going to be trying to win next year. It didn't technically say that, you're going to be on the team next year. He didn't say he's untouchable, but he did confirm that, hey, this team's going to be trying to be good next year. We were going to try to be good this year, but Cade got hurt, all that kind of stuff, yada, yada, yada. And we talked about that earlier in the week. Now, we got some more stuff from Marc Stein. You guys probably know him from his time at ESPN. He's no longer over there. He reports all his stuff, writes all his stuff over on his Substack. But he wrote right here, and it's a little bit of a lengthy paragraph. So let me just give me some time here. But he says here, quote, "More and more as the deadline draws near, I hear rival teams saying that they believe Detroit is poised to rebuff all trade inquiries for Bojan Bogdanovic. I was certainly among those who thought it was posturing when Detroit's reluctance to trade Bogdanovic began to surface many weeks ago. But one league source went so far as asserting this week that the Pistons would refuse to surrender Bogdanovic even if offered that fully unprotected first-round pick that everyone says Detroit covets. Only 7 days ago before we know for sure if Detroit's stance was sincere or a negotiating ploy." So that's interesting. We've said throughout at least I've said throughout the year, I thought this was a major just negotiating ploy. Like Marc Stein says here, even he said that he's believed for a while now that this was just Detroit posturing and trying to get the best price possible. But now starting to have some doubts about that, according to this league source that believes the Pistons would even refuse a fully unprotected first-round pick for Bojan. So let me just give my opinion on this. Do I believe this? Sadly, I do. I think there's probably some truth to this. And if it is true, and we hear that teams offered first-round pick and a young player, or a first-round pick and maybe not, or a pretty nice unprotected first-round pick and not as good of a young player, but nonetheless, it's still the package nonetheless. If we hear that they did that and the Detroit Pistons declined, you're going to get some choice words from me. Because the argument so far has been, well, you don't want to give up Bojan Bogdanovic for peanuts or anything. And then it was the argument of, okay, what exactly is peanuts to you? What's peanuts to me may not be peanuts to you. And it's been this big argument about, do you take a protected first-round pick from a contender and a young player? Do you take a first-round pick with a bad contract and then a young player attached to it? Do you want to take, and for example, of that contract or that kind of trade right there, you'd be looking like a Miami Heat one where you take on Duncan Robinson, Nikola Jovic, and a first-round pick, that kind of thing? Or do you just take, there's another one in LA, obviously, where you can get, I'm assuming the deal would probably be like Russell Westbrook and one of those 2027, 2029 picks, but that's so far in the future. And then some people have been saying it might be a little lightly protected. Would you take that? There's been a lot of argument, but I feel like there was a lot of common ground, though, that if the Pistons can get an unprotected first and a young player for Bojan, you take it. It's just a matter of, do you actually get that deal offered to you, and how much lower of that offer would you be willing to go to trade Bojan? I feel like that's where the real argument's been. But at least from my point of view, it's looked like that a lot of us have agreed in the Pistons community that if you're able to get that first-round pick, unprotected, and a young player, you pull the trigger on that deal, because that's the best deal you're going to get. And it's a good value deal. It's not just the best deal you're going to get in the market because everyone's lowballing you, I should say. It's actually a good deal. That's what Bojan is worth. So if you're able to get that, you take it. So I'm telling you guys right now, if I find out that the Pistons get offered that and then they decline and just say, screw it, no, I don't care, I'm going to be pretty frustrated. And we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, man. I'm not going to go through it all. I don't want to make this segment forever. We've went through the whole Bojan Bogdanovic thing so many times on here, but I'm just going to say this again. Bojan Bogdanovic is 33 years old. He's going to be 34 by the end of the year. He's not good defensively. They already have Saddiq Bey, who also isn't good defensively. He's the worst wing rotation defensively in the entire league. And we had Joe Truck on the podcast last week, I believe, and he made a point that I've really stuck to. And I feel like we've mentioned on the podcast before that shooting is not as much of a premium as it was 10 years ago. You can find a wing who can shoot the ball. What you can't find on the wing is a wing who can shoot the ball, play defense, be versatile, switch across the board 1 through 4, athleticism, all those kind of little details combined together. And if the Pistons are trying to win next year, I am in the camp that you cannot go into the season next year then with Bojan Bogdanovic and Saddiq Bey on your team in the wings. And so you're pinning yourself to a bottom 10 defense instantly by having those two guys be your defenders. It's just not going to happen on the wing. So I feel like Bojan Bogdanovic's value is not going to be any higher than it is now. And obviously, if you don't get offered this first-round pick and unprotected first-round pick and young guy, then there's argument about whether you should take it or not, obviously. But if you do get that asking price that you've been saying you're looking for all year, that we all have agreed is a good asking price for Bojan Bogdanovic, if you get offered that and you still say no, I don't know what to say. I really wouldn't understand the point there. Because then even the whole, well, we'll wait till the offseason and see and trade them then. Why are you waiting? You're getting the asking price that you wanted. I could understand if you weren't getting what you wanted, you believe you could get in the offseason. But if you get what you've been asking for, why are you holding on to it? It's like that Family Guy episode where it's like, oh, you can have the boat or you can have a box. And Peter's like, oh, we could get a box. Who knows what's in the box? It could even be a boat. Why pick the box when you already have the boat? So like that's where I'm at with it. Again, it's if the Pistons do, like Marc Stein's reporting right here, that people believe even if they get offered this package, they'll still say no at the deadline. If that's true, if that's the case, that's when this hypothetical I just laid out that I'm going to be frustrated about takes place. But yeah, that's where I stand with it, man. Let me know where you guys stand with that. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We have some news with Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey. There's a team that's interested in Saddiq Bey, and the Pistons got gifted a little bit of an exception that I really would like to see them use. We're going to talk about all of that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences that help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and 875 member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job's qualifications all on one platform. What's a better way to start 2023 by getting the perfect candidate for your small business? It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another way to support the podcast. All right, so there's two things I want to talk about in this segment. We'll try to split the time up evenly here. And then the last topic, or in the last segment, where I want to talk about Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren accomplishing something in their rookie season. But I guess what I'll go first here with is that there's a team that's interested in Saddiq Bey. Reports say that the New York Knicks are interested in Saddiq Bey. And you know what's crazy? I believe if you go back to the episode we did like 2.5 weeks ago, one of the fake trades I had was with the Knicks. If I remember correctly, I had a fake trade with the Knicks. So maybe I knew something. Maybe I have, I can see the future somewhat. Trolling obviously I'm trolling. But anyways, the Knicks are interested in Saddiq Bey apparently. So I decided to take a chance and go ahead, let's go to FanDuel. Let's go ahead and crack up this trade machine and let's fire away a fake trade. So here is my fake trade. Let me go ahead and get this up on the screen for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube. And then obviously those of you guys who are on the podcast, I will read it out to you guys. So here you go. We got this one pulled up, and this is the first one I came up with. And I like it a lot. I don't know if New York would actually do it, but I like this one a lot. So this one is you're trading Saddiq Bey, Hamidou Diallo, and New York's second-round pick that the Pistons own in 2026. So New York gets their second-round pick back. I don't know how much they it's a question I've asked before this season. I really would like to talk to somebody. I'm going to have to reach out and try to talk to someone with some front office experience or someone within the front office or anything like that. I want to get an idea of what teams feel like what do they feel about getting one of their own second-round picks back? Like, I know getting back your first-round pick is a pretty big deal. But I'd like to know what getting your own second-round pick back, does that hold any value at all? I'd like to know that. But yeah, you're sending the second-round pick that the Knicks own in 2026 back to them. And then in return, the Detroit Pistons are receiving. Oh, you also, did I say Hamidou Diallo? Yeah, I said Hamidou Diallo. And then the Pistons are receiving Obi Toppin and their first-round pick back. So the value here, obviously, is the Pistons getting their first-round pick back. So I'm going to dive a little bit further into that real quick. I don't feel like the Knicks having that first-round pick really does much because the Pistons pick is so heavily protected that it's probably going to end up being second-round picks, if you want me to be honest. It's so protected all the way to 2027. It's not like the Knicks have that pick and they can hope to have 2 first-round picks in the high lottery or whatever, or mid-lottery. It's not going to happen. It's so heavily protected. I don't think they're really ever going to get to use the first-round pick. And I don't think other teams are going to want it because of that reason. So really, I feel like the power of having that first round pick from the Pistons is to be able to dangle it over the Pistons' heads and get something that they want. I feel like that's the real value here. I that's at least the way I'm looking at it. So the value in this is the Pistons they get back their first round pick. And why it's such a big deal for the Pistons, I should have said this first. Why it's such a big deal for the Pistons is because, yes, they're going to probably be able to select with this pick for like the next 3 years, but they're not going to be able to trade any first round picks. They can't trade any first round picks back to back. They have to go all the way out to like 2028 or something. And it's just so, it's going to be so hard for the Pistons to be players in any kind of trade talks, any kind of, possible market for a star that wants out when they have this first round pick tied up. I really think getting that first round pick back, it would be a major, major deal. I have to believe the front office has looked at this and probably would want that first round back too. So you're getting that first round pick back, which is the real winner. And with it, you're getting a young player in Obi Toppin, who I think is actually pretty good. I don't think Obi Toppin's a superstar. I don't think he's an all-star or anything. But I actually like him. And from the Knicks people that I talk to, from the Knicks people I follow, a lot of them seem to feel like that if he wasn't being coached by Tom Thibodeau, if Tom Thibodeau actually played him, like if he actually was played on this team, I know a lot of Knicks fans have wanted him to play next to Julius Randle. A lot of Knicks fans say he's looked really good. He just hasn't been given the chance to play a lot, and Tibbs, just for whatever reason, doesn't play him. And this year, he's shooting 37% from deep. We already know how much of a high flyer he is, how athletic he is around the basket, kind of dunker he is, all that kind of stuff. With his length, his body type, if he's able to hit from beyond the arc, that's a pretty good player. And I liked Obi Toppin. I feel like he's gotten better almost every year in the NBA. So he's been in the league 3 years. I like him. So if the Knicks do want Saddiq Bey, that's the package I'd be looking for. I don't want Cam Reddish for Saddiq Bey. Cam Reddish's value is so low that you should be able to offer just Diallo and a second-round pick, and that should be enough to get him. You shouldn't be giving up Saddiq Bey for Cam Reddish, so I'm not even interested in him. If you're giving up Saddiq Bey to the Knicks, you need some type of value back, and I think that – and also they're getting Diallo because he's the New York guy, and he's played well in his role. Maybe they could find a way to play him in their system in the same type of role. Maybe they would like his energy, and they also get their own second-round pick back. And since they get Saddiq Bey, give us Toppin, and let's have our first-round pick back if you want Saddiq Bey. So that's the deal I would come up with if the Knicks wanted Saddiq Bey. Honestly, I don't think New York would do that. I think you're asking for a lot from New York, but I think it's a possibility. Let me know what you guys think about this trade, though. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. And also tell me about some other trades that you guys maybe think could work with the Knicks if the Knicks actually do try to pull the trigger on Saddiq Bey and the Pistons pull the trigger on Saddiq Bey. But that's my trade. Like I said, just let me know what you guys would do with it in the comment section or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. So now let's move on to the second thing I wanted to talk about in this segment before we move on to Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey. There's a lot of stuff that happened over the last few days, man. And one of the things that happened is the Pistons were gifted a disabled player exception for Kay Cunningham's injury on the year. Now, a lot of this information we'll be getting is from the Detroit Bad Boys article from Kyle Metz. I'm going to link in the description down below. I'm not taking anybody's stuff. I'm crediting it right here. You guys can go check it out, read the whole article yourself. He does a good job of explaining it all. I'm just going to pick little pieces from here to let you guys know about and then let you guys know what I think they should use it for. So they got a disabled player exception because Cade is out, and the way it works, you get 50% of that player's salary. So Cade's salary is 10 point, I believe it says here, $10.49 million. So they receive half of that. So the salary right now is 5.276. That's what the exception is. And you can't attach it to other players and try and make it up the difference in like trades or whatever. But what they can do is they can sign somebody within that $5.2 million exception. And they also could make a deal like, let me just use the example that they use in the podcast real quick. They could, the Sixers, let's say the Sixers want to ship Matisse Thybulle to the Pistons. They could send Thybulle to the Pistons for a second-round pick, and then the exception would make up the difference for Thybulle's salary right there. So it goes into much more detail. The article, it gives you – there's all kinds of like little, restrictions about it. I'm not going to dive in completely here. I don't want to take everything from the article. I just want to kind of talk about what I would do with it. If I'm the Pistons, with this exception right here, what I would want them to do, if they don't do this, they better find another way to address it. And I would use this exception by far to get a third center or a second center. Really, they only have two because Nerlens Noel doesn't play. He just I don't know what's up with him, but he just doesn't play. They desperately need a third big or second big, whatever you want to call it, because Isaiah Stewart cannot play the 5. He has terrible hands. He can't finish around the basket. He doesn't set screens well at all. He doesn't even draw contact on half his screens. And we saw that he was playing better at the 4 position. Now, he hasn't shot well from deep over the last 20 games. But listen, he's going to have to shoot well from 3 at some point, or it's going to be hard to figure out where exactly he fits and what he can play. What I do know is that he can't play the 5. And him playing the 5 not only hurts him, it hurts everybody else he's on the floor with, especially the young ball handlers, Jaden Ivey, Killian Hayes, all of them. It hurts them because he doesn't set screens. Doesn't have any kind of roll gravity. He doesn't make much contact on screens. He can't catch dump-offs because he has really bad hands. It just is what it is. And he can't finish around the rim. So they need a 5 to back up Jalen Duren so Stu can go back to playing the 4 off the bench, and it will just work so much better. They desperately need that, in my opinion. And not just for, get a veteran to steal minutes from guys. No, they desperately need that to help development of Stu at the 4 and just to make the lineups on the floor make sense so that the team can run some kind of functional offense. And before we end it, don't give me the whole Marvin Bagley's coming back. First of all, I don't know when Marvin Bagley's coming back. I don't know if he's even coming back this year. Like, I don't know when he's coming back. That's first. And second, Marvin Bagley also can't play the 5. And so they have a bunch of 4s in this roster. They have 2 4s and 1 5 with Jalen Duren. They desperately need to just get a third big. And if you do want to play Marvin Bagley at the 5 when he comes back, the big you're getting with this exception isn't some star or anything to sit him on the bench when he comes back, if that's what you want to do. But the team at least needs the option. The fact they just don't even have the option and they're basically like stuck because Nerlens Noel refuses to play, and now they're just screwed and they have to throw Stu at the 5. It's an option. It's an option that you're forced to do because you don't have any other options. So they really need to get a third big man on this team that can play minutes at the 5 and hopefully teach these young centers on the Pistons how to set screens, how to run DHOs, play physical, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I think they should do with it. Let me know what you guys think, though, that they should do with it in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. When we come back, Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey have achieved something in their rookie year. That's pretty cool. So talk about that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, FanDuel. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't hit. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money lines to point spreads to who will score a touchdown, the first touchdown, second half touchdown, all that kind of stuff. And look, this Super Bowl, I'm liking the Eagles. I think you could feel pretty safe taking the Eagles. I think their defense is going to rough up the Chiefs. I think the pressure is going to get on Mahomes, and Mahomes is hurt. I think I would take the Eagles money line here. But FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Again, if you want to take my advice, I would go take the Eagles money line for that Super Bowl, but that's just me. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. So All-Star Weekend is coming around soon, which means the Rising Stars Challenge is going to be there. Obviously, the dunk contest, three-point contest, etc. I don't think the Pistons are going to have any guys in any of those. Definitely not the dunk contest. They ain't got no athletes like that. Maybe Diallo, but we already know the 4 in the dunk contest. I don't think Diallo's ever going to do it again. I believe he actually said that before. Don't fact check that. Don't take it completely for my word. I don't know if he actually said that, but I'm pretty sure I remember him saying something like that. But anyways, my point is, Rising Stars Challenge is that weekend as well. And the Pistons have both their rookies going to the Rising Stars game. Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren are both going to this All-Star weekend game. So the Pistons are going to have some kind of representation in the weekend's games. I think that's probably the only representation that they're going to have. If you remember last year, Cade won the MVP because he was obviously the best player in the game. He obviously is the best young player in the league, and he's obviously the best player from his draft class. People just have forgotten that because, he's hurt. But is what it is. And the Pistons actually have two players that have won the Rising Stars MVP in like the last, actually, it's probably not a decade now. It's probably over a decade, right? Yeah, it's 11 years ago. My God, 11 years Dre's been in the league. Cade won it last year, and then Andre Drummond won the Rising Stars MVP in his appearance there too. So Pistons have two recent MVPs in this game. They now got the 5th overall pick in it. They got the 13th pick in it. They got two cracks of the apple here. I won't speak for them, but I think Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren have a little bit of pressure on them to try to bring home an MVP. It's one of the only pieces of hardware the Pistons have over the last decade plus. That Rising Stars MVP. Now, listen, we know that the Pistons got embarrassed a little bit in one of these, going all the way back, I believe, to 2010. With Kyrie and dancing on Brand Knight and dropping them twice, that kind of thing. Even though Brand Knight did get some moves on Kyrie too. People don't mention it because obviously he got his ankles broken. Fair enough. But Brand Knight did some stuff too in that game. But nonetheless, the Rising Stars Challenge is where the Pistons really make their money right there. Okay, they have had some good representation. They've had some good games, good players in those games. So there's some pressure on Ivey and Duren to pull this one off. If I had to pick, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below or over on Twitter. But if I had to pick one of these guys I think has the best chance to win the Rising Stars Challenge or to win the Rising Stars MVP, I'm going to go with Jalen Duren for this reason only. Same reason why Andre Drummond dominated his. Drummond got like 20-something rebounds and just threw back a bunch of dunks and it ended up with 20 and 20. I feel like Jalen Duren could do that too. Just off of getting offensive rebounds and just putting it back over and over and over again. Now, Ivey, if he gets the ball the whole time, he gets to, do whatever he wants. Ivey could do it too. But Duren, I feel like anytime someone misses, I feel like he's going to probably get the rebound. He may end up with 20 rebounds. And heck, maybe he gets 20 points. He may end up with the 20 and 20 in one of these games. And I know they have like a weird, I don't know if they're changing the way they do it this year. I know last year they had like 5, they had like separate games. It was weird the way they did it last year. So I don't know how they're doing it this year. I know they changed the way they're picking the All-Star game, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're changing this too. I think the Pistons have a pretty good chance of bringing home back-to-back Rising Stars MVPs. Now, obviously, Paolo Banchero might have something to say about that, but I think they have a good chance. So let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter what you guys think about the Pistons' chances are to bring home another Rising Stars MVP, and who do you think has the best chance to do it? Jaden Ivey or Jalen Duren? Again, let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Stay safe out there. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. If you're available on all your podcast platforms, hit that subscribe button at the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And until next time, again, stay safe. Go Pistons. Enjoy the game tonight. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.